Let me now introduce my guest of the hour. For more analysis, we are now being joined by Dr Arvind Virmani, Honourable Member Niti Aayog, live with us from New Delhi. Mr Virmani, welcome to WION. So as we saw, there was renewed focus on the empowerment of the youth, the poor, farmers and women. How can that be achieved, especially in line with India's long-term development goals?
Well, let me, give a very summary, a small summary for your international audience, because, the Prime Minister often uses the word, and which Finance Minister repeated, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas, Sabka Prayas. Now, from an economist perspective, this is what I would call the goal of sustained, fast, inclusive growth and development. There are really three parts to it. I'll very quickly go over them and then we can go into the details. So the first part is the sustained growth. The government is very clear. The issue of reforms was mentioned many times in the FS budget. She gave examples about the reforms which have happened and gave an assurance which the PM has also been talking, both national and international audience, of continuing reforms. So creating the environment for investment, growth, GDP growth, economic growth and employment. So that is the first part of it, which also has things like infrastructure, public goods infrastructure, technology, etc. The second part is is the emphasis on empowerment. As the Finance Minister said, the approach is kind of shifting from entitlement approach to empowerment. So the idea is to give every section, whichever geography, every community, every person in India or every group in India, the capabilities for bettering themselves. So give them the leg up, after that is up to them. And she gave examples, and this showed that this will continue into future. And finally, I just mentioned, and then we can go into detail, a holistic but pragmatic approach to complicated issues like environment, climate change, etc. And here the whole issue of green economy comes in which was also mentioned in the Finance Minister's speech.
Right. So what do you think about the budget's focus on sectors like education and agriculture in particular? As we saw in the speech, skill development of the youth was a major focus.
Right. So that is the second part which comes under the empowerment issue. So clearly women and youth have been singled out besides the usual. We have been talking about the poor and farmers for 50 years, 75 years. But I think the somewhat newer focus is on women and youth. And here I think part of it is the skilling. So focusing, creating opportunities by skilling. The way I put it is that skills and employment are two sides of the same coin. You can't really have employment without having a skill. So this focus on empowerment, giving them skills, giving them the opportunity, both women and youth, and from again a holistic perspective, having skills, connecting them to markets, having women-led growth, etc. And again, the Finance Minister gave some examples of the past and assured that this approach would continue into the future.
Let's talk about affordable housing, a new housing scheme for the middle class. Your thoughts on the same?
One is the solar rooftop, which has to do with, again, infrastructure, electricity, and in some sense, in some parts of the country, over-dependence on the distribution system, which may not function well, empowers you if you have a solar thing. But the second part is just completing the process which has begun and been accelerated in the last 10 years, which is that everybody in the country should have a house. So I think it's just a process of completing that process. One of the things which is a hallmark of this government is, again, the Finance Minister emphasized this, that the focus is on outcomes. It's not just on how much money we spend, counting whether it's being dispersed, but what is the outcome. So review of the housing shows that there is still a need for further numbers of housing, and that's what the government has assured, that we will expand the number of houses provided under the scheme which has been going on.
Thank you so much, sir, for your precious time, and thank you for all your insights on the interim budget. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
WION World is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.